All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about one of the biggest and, honestly, one of the most unspoken financial struggles that so many of us face. We're talking about hitting that very first major milestone on the road to building wealth.
Have you ever had this thought, I'll get serious about it later, when I get a raise, when I get a better job? It's that little voice in our heads that keeps millions of people waiting for some perfect moment to start, a moment that, just never quite shows up. But what if the problem isn't really your income at all?
So, here it is. This is the big idea we're diving into today. Let's just forget about the millionaire dream for a second. The real boss battle, the actual hardest level in the entire game of building wealth, is getting to that first $100,000. So let's break that down. Why is this one number so important? And why does getting past it, why does it change everything? You know that feeling, right? It's like you're running on a treadmill. You're working hard, you're putting in the hours, but you just don't seem to be getting anywhere. Well, the reason it feels so incredibly tough is because there are some very real, very powerful forces working against you, especially in the beginning.
So what are these forces? It really just boils down to three main obstacles. One is about your habits, another is about some simple math, and the third one is about your own brain. Let's take a look at each one. Okay, first up, lifestyle inflation. Oh man, this one is so sneaky. You get a raise at work, and what happens? Suddenly you could afford a nicer car, a bigger apartment, you start eating out more. And look, those things feel great. You feel like you've earned them. But they quietly start eating up the exact money you were supposed to be using to build your future.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? Making a lot of money means absolutely nothing if it all just disappears before any of it can be put to work. It's not about the size of your paycheck, it's all about the gap between what you bring in and what you let go out. The second force against you is just cold, hard math. And it's not just the numbers, it's how those numbers make you feel. I mean, getting a 10% return is fantastic, but when you've only got $5,000 invested, that 10% is $500. It can feel kind of discouraging, almost pointless. But now, look at the other side. That exact same 10% return on $100,000 is $10,000. Now that is when you start to feel the momentum building.
And the third force? Well, it's inside our own heads. It's a psychological thing called present bias. See, our brains are just hardwired to love instant rewards. We'd rather have the immediate thrill of spending $100 today than the far-off, kind of abstract benefit of investing it for some reward decades from now. This bias is a silent killer of wealth.
But, and this is a big but, if you can push past those three forces, you reach this kind of magical moment. It's a tipping point where the whole game of building wealth completely flips in your favor.
And to really get why this tipping point is so powerful, we have to understand where wealth quietly goes to die. It's almost never in one big, catastrophic mistake. It's in the thousands of tiny, seemingly harmless decisions we make, day after day.
Let's just take a simple number, $15 a day. That could be anything, right? A couple of fancy coffees, buying lunch at work, some subscription you forgot you even had. It feels like nothing. But that nothing adds up. All of a sudden, you're looking at over $5,000 a year. Okay, that's not so small anymore. But wait, it gets so much bigger. Because if you took that same $15 a day and invested it over 30 years with an average market return, it could have grown to almost $700,000. That is the true, absolutely staggering cost of a small, everyday habit. So you're probably asking, how on earth is that even possible? Well, this is why. This is the power of compounding in action. Look at this timeline. To get close to that first $100,000, it takes a full 10 years of consistent saving. But then, look what happens. The next 10 years adds another $200,000. And the 10 years after that, it adds almost $500,000. See? The growth isn't a straight line. It's a curve that gets steeper and steeper and steeper over time.
So the best way to think about it is like this. It's the wealth snowball effect. That first 100,000 is you at the top of a hill trying to push this giant, heavy snowball. It's exhausting, it's frustrating, you barely feel like you're moving, but once you get it over the edge, it starts rolling all by itself, getting bigger and faster on its own.
Okay, so how do we make that exhausting uphill push just a little bit easier? Well, it's not about getting lucky, it's about building the right systems and the right habits.
Here are 5 incredibly powerful ones. First, automate everything. Take the willpower out of the equation. Second, every year, just bump up your savings rate a tiny bit. You won't even feel it. Third, when you get a raise or a bonus, pretend you didn't, just invest it. Fourth, play the long game. And finally, track your net worth. Seeing that number go up is the best motivation there is. These aren't secrets, they're just about discipline.
And when you actually put those habits into practice and you finally cross that $100,000 line, the whole game changes. You are no longer playing alone.
You see, the real victory of hitting that first 100K isn't just the money in the account. It's the proof that you've built the habits, the discipline, and the patience you need to succeed. You've literally forged the financial character that's going to carry you the rest of the way. And from here on out, it actually gets easier.
And now the math, which was so discouraging at the beginning, finally starts working for you. Look at this. At $100,000, your money is now generating an extra $8,000 a year by itself. By the time you get to $300,000, that's $24,000 a year. That's basically a decent part-time job that you don't have to show up for. Your money is finally doing some of the heavy lifting.
And this is the main takeaway. Reaching this milestone marks the shift. It's the point where you go from working for every single dollar to having your money join the team and start working with you. And that's the real goal, isn't it? To get to the point where your wealth is growing not just because of your own hard work, but because your money itself has become an engine for its own growth. And that first $100,000, that's the key that starts the engine.